All right, guys. So I'm with Jack Middelton today at Fat Mountain Farms in Cerro Gordo.
Yeah.
Did I say that correctly?
Yes, sir. Yeah,
North Carolina.
Yeah. No, it's pretty much in the middle of nowhere, but we are growing. We have a Family Dollar and a Dollar General now, so it is
Big time.
big time stuff.
Big time.
But yeah, no, it's a great little town. I mean, originally from London, West London, place called Chiswick, and somehow I went from one extreme to the other and ended up right here in the middle of nowhere. But I wouldn't change it for the world. I love living here. I mean, it's just so different and beautiful, and I don't know. It's just something special about being out in Cerro Gordo, North Carolina.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. Well, thanks so much for taking the time out of your day.
Oh, my pleasure.
I know you've got all kinds of things going on the farm. We've got the lambs behind us. We've got chickens, and I know things never end as far as projects. So thanks again for taking some time today.
Of course.
Would love to dive in. I followed you on Instagram for quite a while. I have my personal farm, P&K Family Farms, and I followed you on that account originally is where I found you. I don't remember exactly how so. It probably popped up in my Discover page, but started following you there. And then when I started doing the farm marketing stuff, I wanted to definitely follow along and have had intentions on reaching out for quite a while, and went ahead and sent you some DMs and got to connect with you. So I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, man.
And hear a little bit about your story. From an outsider looking in, I know on Instagram it's not always reality. It's not always the way things appear on Instagram. But from an outsider looking in, it seems like you have, one, grown quickly. Two, really made a niche for yourself on social media. The content you're producing is fantastic.
Yep.
You've built a following on there, which I'm sure has helped with sales. And then, tell me a little bit about that story. Am I kind of accurate as far as, that path of growth? Tell me how long ago did you get started and what's that looked like for you?
Yeah, so I mean, initially when I was growing up, I never thought I would be a farmer. Like, that was nothing. I mean, the only thing I knew about farming was going to the grocery store and picking up my meat from there. So I came to the States. I played tennis in college at University of Mount Olive. Long story short, I met my wife in college who played tennis, and she was originally from Cerro Gordo. We moved out here. And then it was really my father-in-law that kind of wanted to get the regenerative farming started. So he got sick in his mid-40s, and he started researching more about his diet, and he got into fasting because, he thought he was eating well, and he was moderately healthy, and then all of a sudden he had like plantar fasciitis, he had cataract problems, and he was like, well, what in the world? Like, I don't understand anything. And, the modern doctors were telling him, giving him all these meds and telling him that he, there wasn't anything to do with his diet really, because he was telling them what he was eating. But he researched fasting and came across regenerative farming, and he then came across Polyface Farms out in Virginia, Joel Salatin, the famous regenerative farmer.
That's right.
And he went out, excuse me, and he went out himself and went there, fell in love with doing the regenerative farming, came back, told us all about it, and took us out there the next year. And we all, as a family, just fell in love with doing it. So we started the family business, technically, and we started doing it in 2020, like not as a legitimate business. And then we started our LLC in 2021. And then, the social media part kind of it wasn't really anticipated for me to do it. I was kind of hoping my wife would do it.
I understand.
I had no idea about doing it. I was not a social media person.
It's a second job, right?
Exactly. God, it's a pain to come up with content and everything. But anyway, yeah, so I was hoping she was going to do it. And then it ended up, I filmed a video of my chickens eating a deer carcass in their coop.
Yep.
And I put a caption on it saying, how do we keep a high egg count in the winter? And it was, boom, turned to them eating a deer carcass, and that just blew up somehow. I don't know why it blew up, but people were getting angry at me, saying I was crazy, that was wrong. Anyway, so that got like 8 million views, and then I was like, oh man. I was like, we started going from 200 followers, and in a span of 4 months, we were at like 40,000 followers. I mean, it was a huge jump, and I couldn't believe what was going on. We started getting paid by Instagram to post stuff. We were getting, affiliate programs offering us stuff. I was just out of nowhere from this one video. And I was like, oh, okay, I kind of like this. I like this attention a little bit. So I started researching more about getting into, how to film stuff and content, and going on YouTube, seeing how others did it. I was watching the trends. It was, and it just kind of kept growing. And I found my little niche on social media that helped me constantly get over, 30, 40,000 views at a time. And yeah, I just kept posting that and being persistent. We would be at family events. I'd get up at like 7 in the morning because that was our posting time, and I'd post videos then.
Oh man, dedication.
And, yeah, it was dedication. And then it just kept going and growing.
That's awesome. I was checking real quick, just so we could let everyone know the handle. It is Fat Mountain Farms.
Yep, Fat Mountain Farms, all one word.
Cool.
On Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah. So you were gaining a lot of traction. Had videos go viral. Were you seeing that turn into sales for you guys?
Yes. So we were. A couple of it, like the big videos, it started. I was watching my website, the traction and the audience, and it just like skyrocketed with people going on our website because they saw our video and they liked it. And with being in the moment of like COVID and everything, there was a lot of anti-government movement. Mm-hmm. So that was really what our posts were being about, because the government really isn't for the regenerative farming movement. Honestly, I don't think so. But so we started posting more about that, and that would gain us more traction. And then eventually it was leading to sales, and we started shipping a lot more, and that was a whole other ball game when we started getting into that.
Figuring out that shipping piece.
Yeah. So, that was that really did help. So, I mean, social media is a game changer once you get the hang of it.
Yep. And it opens up your market. I know we're really close to Myrtle Beach. You've said that you sell a lot into Myrtle Beach, but tapping into that market on social media definitely opens up the market to people who are connected to your story. Mm-hmm. Right. At the end of the day, they're connected to what you're doing out here. It's a beautiful place. Yeah. I think it comes across on your social media that you work very hard at what you do, being out here and seeing it. It's evident. I mean, it's not easy to, have an appropriate rotated pasture operation and to do it right. It's not easy. It takes a lot of work. It's every day to move their chickens every day, to make sure they're fed and watered and checked on. I mean, it's literally every single day. Yeah. So it's obvious that you work hard. It's obvious that you work hard on social media, and you're seeing that pay off. What advice would you give somebody who's got a farm, who's looking to maybe grow on social media or connect with more people just outside of that local market?
That's a big question.
Yeah.
I don't know. I personally, I look for a niche that works well every time you post. So for us, like I mentioned before, a lot of it was anti-government posts.
Sure.
So it was, how the big man is taking control of the little man, and they're trying to stop you from living a healthy life and fulfilling your optimal health that you could reach. So I kept getting audios, and it started connecting with my social media account, and it would pop up more and more, and I'd save those audios, and I would repost these videos and put the audios behind it. And I noticed that trend, and it's like little things I would add. I'd always put text on the video, because I read that somehow attracts the person to just continue watching, even if they don't have sound, and they just keep looking at it because that text keeps popping up. It's like a trigger.
So there's a little bit of a system.
There is a system.
There was you're a little bit of researching. You're finding trends. You're in that niche of this we call the anti-government thing, which people being self-sufficient and growing their own food and being able to provide for themselves. So it's less control for them, right? Which unfortunately, people get power. They want control. It's kind of the world we live in. But you found a niche, find something that works, the text, and you're kind of rolling with it. You're saving posts that you like, that you think might do well for you.
Yeah, and I would look how others are doing it. So how the big farmers, like the really popular 100,000, 200,000 follower farmers are doing it. Because that's what I would do. I would go look on other people and say, well, what are they doing differently? How are they getting so much reach? And some of them I'd see and I'd be like, what the hell? Like, how are they getting this much reach? And then others I'd be like, okay, I can see a consistent pattern. And I do notice even not farming accounts, everyone does the same thing. They repost the same video, and they'll have the same similar style content that they're posting, and it's attractive to certain groups. When you find that niche group, it just keeps growing and growing and growing, and you get more traction on Instagram, and your views will just increase, and then that will lead to sales and asking about your product, and you get a name for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. That's super cool that you were able to put a little bit of a system with it. I think that's super important. I try my best not to scroll on my phone, the death scroll. It's terrible. It'll get you sometimes. But, I try to spend the time when I am on my phone, doing like you said, even for what I do on the farm or the farm marketing is, scrolling to do research, right? To find something that, this would be really cool if I changed it this way or put this text on it, maybe made it more relatable to this group of people that I'm trying to target or are following me. Yeah. So it's really neat. You kind of built a little system out for yourself. I saw that you self-film a lot of things too as well. Yeah. The content's killer. I wouldn't have known when I walked up. I was like, man, who's following you around with the camera? So it looks great.
Yeah. No, it's. I was just constantly, every time I'd think of new things, I'd be like, oh man, I need to get a drone. So I went and spent $500 on a drone. Oh man, I need to get this. I need to get this. I mean, the camera you have, I'd love to be able to carry around with me. But yeah, the one I have right now is just on my iPhone 12. And, I learned about how to get higher quality videos. You put it on, what is it? Like 40, 60 or something.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly now, but yeah, I'd make sure I do that every time. And I'd have my little stand. And at first I didn't buy a stand. I had to balance it on buckets and stuff. And it was just
been there. Yeah. No, that's great. That's so cool. And I encourage people all the time with that, is that you can get everything with your phone. Even though, I really enjoyed storytelling. So, I actually shoot a lot of wedding videos. I travel and do, at one point I really wanted to be a destination wedding videographer.
Oh, really?
I've been able to shoot some international weddings, shoot some weddings, all different kind of places. And so that I was able to afford the gear for that. And now I'm kind of backing off on that. Don't do as many. But, I'm able to use the gear for this now, which is super helpful. But, people ask me all the time, what camera should I get? What do I need to do? I'm like, the best camera you got is right here. Mm-hmm. There really is no need to get anything else. The big thing is understanding lighting, understanding composition, those things, basics, foreground, background. You can get a lot done, with an iPhone. Natural lighting is always the best. I talk a lot about product photography, taking pictures of, just different cuts of meat and that sort of thing. And if you can ever go by a window and get that natural light coming in from outside on that product with the inside lights turned off, it makes a beautiful product. And you can take any camera, you can take your phone. It's a beautiful photo every time.
That was one thing I was doing the other day, because like I told you before we started this, we were getting into the cosmetic and making the sheep tallows. And I was like, I got to get a photo somehow to show the product, because I can't just get something off the internet. So I was having to sit in my bathroom because I had the best light, and sit down, get the lighting, put it on the setting on the images on your phone. It's like vivid cool or something like that, and I would sit trying to get all the angles.
No, that's the way to do it. No, but you're learning, you're improvising, and I think that's great. That's super cool. It seems like a theme for you and all you got going on out here. So very neat. We touched on shipping a little bit. You've mentioned you ship a lot, decent amount of your products. What percentage would you say you ship of your sales?
It's not a very high percentage compared to most. I mean, I'd say it is, 10-15%. Our main thing is our local customers. Farm pickup, farmers markets. Shipping, I'd really like to start doing more and more and more. It is just very difficult to get going. Like we talked about. I mean, you get into that. You start off and you have no one ordering, no one shipping, and then you get one, and then you get 3 each week, and then it's like you get into that awkward phase where you don't have enough to get dry ice to you. You have to drive out to go pick dry ice up, and you have orders get screwed up. Like when we first started, oh my God, I lost so many customers because it would get there, it'd be thawed out. I didn't know I should use dry ice. And then, so then we researched dry ice, and then I finally realized I had to order 600 pounds at a time to get it to me. And I was like, I'm not at that point quite yet to get it shipped to me. But again, there's that awkward phase that eventually you'll get there, and when people start trusting you, and word of mouth is a powerful thing.
Yeah, that's right. No, absolutely. I mean, shipping, everyone that I seem to talk to that's not doing it, it's kind of like this mystical thing. It's like, how do I do it? How do I figure out how do we get the product there, to arrive? And so figuring that whole thing out with, from obviously your box to your insulator, and then the coolants inside of the box, and keeping that product cool. It's definitely a learning curve. I actually have a free PDF that I give out, and I got a module that we do on shipping, which is super cool. So if you guys are looking to check that out, I highly recommend it. But like we've talked about, I want to be able to give all this information out to people to be able to succeed, because at the end of the day, I think the more of us that can succeed can prove that this system works, and the more of us that can scale it, to something that is, I mean, talk finances, but a full-time income, but not only a full-time income, but enough of a full-time income to provide, income opportunities for other people, employment opportunities for other people, and really grow an operation that's sustainable for the future, and that can be handed down, to future generations, and
100%.
And that whole piece. So I think shipping, it's one of those things. It's kind of like that catch-22 for me, is because sometimes we want to provide local food. There's probably someone closer to them that could provide for them, but we're shipping to them. And then my business mind reminds me that, at the end of the day, if they're connected with me and my brand, or you and your brand, and they feel that sense of connection, maybe they trust you, they like the way that you're doing things, and they want to order from you, and that gives them that confidence, maybe in the way that you're raising the food with the grass-fed lamb, or whatever that looks like for them, then by all means, I want to give them that opportunity. I'm not seeking out customers in New York to send my meats to, but if there's customers in markets that are near me, I want to be able to provide it for them.
Yeah. No, I mean, I always feel like if I don't have that option for shipping, I'm missing out on another community of customers. Because, I mean, we've shipped out to California, Arizona, Nevada, New York, Pennsylvania, and some of them are consistent. Or like they order consistently. They order subscriptions with us, and it's nice to have that where we can reach out to more people. Because I see the big guys, White Oak Pastures and Polyface, they ship, and I'm like, there has to be a way they started and got it going, because they started from small somehow, somewhere, and so there is a way to do it. It's just figuring it out for yourself and at your farm and your location. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll get it one day.
Yeah. Well, no, it's kind of like you said, stepping stones, right? You don't just all of a sudden wake up one day and start shipping 200 products, and UPS is pulling up to the door, and you got the dry ice facility and you got the package facilities like we see on Instagram sometimes. But you got to start somewhere, and I think it's not easy, and it's not it's nothing's going to get handed to you in life. There's no silver bullet, if you will, to all of a sudden just having those customers. But we do talk about a lot of different strategies, marketing strategies, ways to attract new customers. We've talked about social media a bunch, and that's what I tell my customers all the time, or my clients for the farm marketing, is that it's a spoke in the wheel. Right. So social media being one spoke in that wheel, word of mouth being one spoke in that wheel. Right. We talk a lot about paid advertising being a spoke in that wheel, right? Having that strategy to drive traffic to our websites. But all these spokes in the wheel got to work well for the whole machine to get moving.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's talking a little bit about the website. What do you see? I know social media is a big driver for you. Are you guys doing anything else to drive traffic to the website?
Email marketing. That's a huge thing. So like when we go to farmers markets, I'll always have a email sign-up sheet on my desk. And I'll tell people like, oh yeah, if you sign up today, you'll get 10% off your first online order. And that immediately, boom. And they can scan a QR code right on my desk with that piece of paper and go straight to the website. So that's the email marketing is key. That's the one way. Honestly, I mean, I think we've got one ad in the local newspaper out here, but our customers really aren't in Columbus County. We might have one or two, but the main thing is, social media, email marketing, that's getting people to our website. And again, I'd say like in-person marketing is key as well.
Sure.
That's the biggest thing I would tell anyone who's starting, is in order to get someone to your website, it would be make them meet you in person, so you gain a relationship with them, and then they'll want to go to your website and see more what you have.
Sure. And I can definitely relate to that. And I feel like if I can meet somebody in person, my chance of earning them as a customer is so much higher.
Oh yeah,
right? They get to meet you, they get to feel that energy, they get to learn why you farm, what you're doing, and that just draws people in.
Yeah,
right.
Well, that's the whole point of the local farmer, is having that relationship with the farmer. So we talked about before we started talking, is how we're not in competition with other people, just because every farmer has their own personality, and each person is going to relate differently with the farmer. So, I have customers that relate better with me than they do with the other guy who's raising pasture poultry. Just because, I don't know, maybe I'm younger, I have a different generation that listens to me and relates well with me, and he's a bit older and he has a different one. But yeah, it's key having that local farmer has that relationship, which is what people miss out on when they go to the grocery store and the big chains. So yeah, that's what I
Yeah. So I call that branding. I think a lot of people, when they hear branding, they think about website, logos, colors, all these things, right? Which I consider that corporate branding, right? When we think about those different types of elements when just pop up into our head when we say branding. And corporate branding works well for corporations. For farms, and especially direct-to-consumer farms, it's more of a personal brand.
Yeah.
And that personal brand's that connection, exactly what you just said. It's that you're younger, that people are attracted to you because of the personality you bring and the energy you bring and maybe the things that you post about that they relate to, and that draws them to you. And at the end of the day, that's your brand. That's like I say, like that's that energy you're putting out there, right? People are drawn to. And everyone's got their own, so everyone's going to draw their own customer base in. And at the end of the day, we were talking earlier, like we as direct to consumer farmers, if we can't all succeed at this current moment of the market, then we're all in trouble.
Oh yeah.
That might change one day, several years down the road when, there's less market share up for grabs. But currently, I think there's a really high demand. The demand is probably in most markets unmet or untapped into. There's still people that are seeking this out. They're seeking sources for the food out. So I think for everyone listening and everyone doing farms, I mean, there's it might seem like there's a new farm every day, but there's plenty out there.
Oh yeah, I mean, like we talked about earlier, is I'll get these like celebrities suddenly start following us. I'm like, why do they care about our little tiny farm in Cerro Gordo? But it's become such a popular thing. Like you said, regenerative farming is expanding very fast. So it's definitely an industry to get into. And if farmers watching have started it and are still kind of unsure, I just say stick with it, because it is going to blow up very quickly. And more people are becoming so aware of how their animals are raised. They want to know the farmer. They don't want any antibiotics in their food. They want it grass fed. So yeah, it just stick with it, because it like you said, eventually it will plateau. But I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon.
That's right. Something that you when you were talking, I was thinking of. We're talking about branding, we're talking about social media, and something I think you do such a great job of is I think you really relate the farm lifestyle and how hard you work well. I mean, I think as someone who's followed you for a little while, just seeing your content, it's like, man, he loves this. 1, 2, he enjoys the lifestyle he's living.
Yeah.
He's committed to it, and he's working really hard to raise good food.
Yeah.
I think it draws people in.
Yeah. I mean, it's easy to do when you love doing it. I mean, there's that whole thing where, they say you got to love what you're doing to be happy. But I mean, that's not necessarily true. But I really do love being out here, because you can see the results firsthand. Like, you literally see, you move the animals, you move the chickens across the pasture, they poop on the ground, they fertilize it, and in 30 days it comes back thick and dark green. It's just beautiful. It's such an amazing thing to watch the cycles of nature work. And then the sheep come behind them, they eat it, they get healthier, and then we provide our customers with high quality food. The customers get better, their health problems start dissipating. I have one customer, like an elderly lady, and she was unsure about buying from us, and she bought some chicken from us, and she was telling me how she had all these rashes and stuff, and the doctors have given her all kinds of cream, and then after about a month later, her stuff was gone, and she was saying thank you for giving me nutrition advice and talking to us about our food. And so it's really special to be able to be a part of that and see people improve and the land improve, and that just makes things easy to do. And I think it's really important for farmers to show the behind the scenes and be 100% transparent with how they do things, which is why I always do the day in the life videos. And I posted one this morning of me taking lambs off to the USDA plant.
Nice.
So just to give everyone a perspective on what we do, because I think it's important they understand how hard we do work.
Yep.
To give them high quality food.
Yep. No, and I think that draws people in. That's super neat to see, that translates. I think a lot of people have a hard time translating things through social media, whatever that point they're trying to get across. And, the point you just mentioned of, seeing how hard we do work to provide that food, I think you translate that well.
Yeah.
So kudos to you on that. Yeah,
Thank you.
No, it's not an easy game. I think a lot of people struggle with that. I think that's something I talk to people a lot about is, how to translate that, through on social media. So it's not easy. But you're doing a great job at it.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah, so super cool. So let's dive into maybe like future goals, aspirations. What does growth look like for you as far as going into that 2024 season?
Yeah, that's a question we've been asking all of us, like the whole family, like where do we want to be next year? Because we started off last year, we did 300, 400 birds, I think we did. This year we're going to end up doing 1,400. So that's a huge jump to do, but it worked. Like we were like, woo, it worked out great. And so I don't know. I think we're wanting to start venturing into processing the birds ourselves. So we'll probably, instead of doing batches of 200, we might do 250 and do process 50 on our own and have that exemption and be able to sell locally in North Carolina. With the lambs, again, it's just constant growing. You have to keep building your herd. So, this year we had a head of 100. Next year, hopefully, it'll be a head of 150, 200, double the herd. And just keep being able to expand with our customer base. I think we've really done well in South Carolina and Myrtle Beach, Conway. So maybe next year we'll look into going to Wilmington in North Carolina, expand out there. So yeah, I mean, it's loads of opportunities. So it's something we'll need to all sit down and discuss about.
Yeah. I think that's what kind of the season we're all headed into. For most of us, for us, we just did our last batch of pastured chickens. Our pigs are gone, and we're kind of sitting down. I think a lot of people are starting to sit down and look at what's 2024 mean for the farm. What is that growth? Because we're all trying to grow.
Yeah, I mean, and you got to have that. You got to be careful, but you also got to be ambitious, because we could say, oh yeah, we're going to just jump from 1,400 to 5,000 birds. So, we can do it. But, at the end of the day, you got feed costs, you've got processing costs, you've got to be able to sell the product. So it's got to be, for us, what I find now is going to have to be kind of incremental jumps and just kind of test the water and see where we're at.
Sure.
So I don't think we're going to jump too big, because we did well with the 1,400 birds and the, excuse me, the 50 lambs we're going to take off. And then, we'll see where it goes for next year and just slowly build it up over time.
Sure. Yeah, that's great. So, I got kind of one thing that I wanted to chat about. I think I've heard several times in the conversation before we kind of wrap up, and really is communicating with your customers, that word of mouth. You mentioned it earlier about being at the farmer's market, about talking to people. Then you mentioned the elderly lady that was dealing with some health problems, and you spoke with her a little bit through her nutrition. And I always talk to people, how important it is to be communicating with your customers. You can learn a lot from them. Yeah. Something that I tell my clients is like, hey, when you have someone come on the farm or you're interacting with the customer, ask them, say, what led you here today? How'd you find us? Obviously, but then why do you buy our products? What are you looking for in our products? And you'll hear all kinds of answers. Yeah. And those answers really help you develop your email marketing, your social posts, and you can really learn why your customers are seeking you out in the first place. What's been your experience in communicating with customers and maybe why they're seeking you out?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I mean, well,
yeah, it's funny because I didn't mean to.
No, go ahead.
But, it's like I tell a lot of my clients sometimes when they're thinking through like communicating with their customers, like think of that dream customer, right? Not dream customer. Yeah. I'll say your favorite customer. And obviously they may not be your favorite. I'm not, trying to play favorites in the customers, but there's probably that person that pops in your mind. It's like, oh, they buy from me all the time. They buy in large quantities. They never complain. They're super happy. They love the product, right? And like they love talking to me. They come here and talk my ear off. They love seeing all the stuff. And like think about that person. And it's like that tells you a lot about all the other people that are buying from you too. Yeah.
No, I mean, I have noticed like our main customer base is going to be stay-at-home moms with children. Obviously, they're going to be with children, stay-at-home moms, but they're looking to help provide their kids with high-quality food. So, learning how to communicate with them properly and relating to them well it's interesting, like you said, to see the different personalities behind it, but there is always that common trend, and you really learn how to word things. Like one of the things that I have noticed, especially like if I have, that's not so much with them, but if I have when you go to the markets enough, you see people and you can already immediately tell if they're going to buy from you or not. Like I can just tell. Like if I see a mom with 2 kids walking with a cooler bag, I'm like, bingo. Like I gotta. Yeah. But I do have I've noticed with like some older people who are a lot more skeptical, because back in South Carolina, they're like, well, I can go to, Walmart and get me a $1 a pound chicken. And it's like, well, it is a different product. But one thing I've learned is by telling them, I have my spiel and I'll say, look, I said, do you trust where your products come from? And they'll say, well, not necessarily. And I said, well, that's our goal, is to be able to give you that confidence in your food again, knowing it was raised ethically, humanely, outside in nature on grass. And that usually it starts resonating with them, and you start picking up how to communicate properly with them and what to say. And So yeah, and then some people it's going to be easy. Like I don't even have to, when we first started in that market, we first did the Columbus County market, didn't go so well because just customers weren't looking for it. Then we went to Myrtle Beach, and that's where people were looking for it. I couldn't believe that people just wouldn't ask me questions. They just come and just say, "Hand me the money," and they want their chicken. And but yeah, that's how we learn it. Just seeing the different people and getting a feel for what to say to them.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on so much there, so much great insight. I mean, so much to learn from just in developing conversation. And you have that as yourself as a person. I mean, you're conversational. You're easy to talk to.
Yeah,
and when you're in person talking to people, you're looking for that. Like, what are they looking for? Why are they here? Do you trust your food, right? And then like they already know they don't trust their food. And it's like, oh, okay, I understand. And that's in our email templates. I send out like people who join the course and stuff. I have like a template thing they get of like prompts and titles. And one of the titles is, "Are you tired of not being able to trust the beef you're buying from the grocery store?"
Yeah.
Right. And that's an email title.
I love it. Yeah.
Right. And so I think taking like what you said and then like trickling that down into like social content, emails, website, all the things. Right. And it's like, I think there's so much to learn, but it started with an in-person conversation, right? And you can't replace that.
Nope. Yeah, no, you can't. I mean, that you can go through all the fancy loops and have the great social media account, the big huge farm, the nice website, but if you can't communicate with your customers in person and relate to them, I mean, you're not going to be able to sell anything. It's just that is the base of everything.
Yep. Awesome. Well, I think we've covered a bunch. I appreciate your time today.
Yeah,
is there anything else that you wanted to cover, maybe share?
No, I mean, if I can do it and come out here, having no experience whatsoever, then anyone can really do it if they put their mind to it. And I know that's a very common saying that people always say, but I mean, it really is true because I hear it all the time, and I can relate well to it. Just being from London, playing tennis, not having any relation to farming whatsoever, and then coming out here, and I just loved it because I did business management in school, and there's so much business behind farming. But yeah, if I can fall into it and get it rolling, I mean, anyone can really do it if they want to.
That's awesome. Super cool. Well, thanks for sharing that. Can you share with us real quick? Like I think we said share the social page. If you want to share that real quick again, and then maybe the website title and anything else.
Instagram is Fat Mountain Farms, all one word. Our website is www.fatmountainfarms.com. Facebook is Fat Mountain Farms. It's pretty easy to remember. So yeah.
Perfect. Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate your time today.
Well, man, I appreciate it too. Thank you.
All right.